Hey guys, Parallel here, and welcome to Star Trek Online. In this video, I would like to finish up my series of build videos for the new Tier 6 battlecruisers. So I'm going to be taking a look at the Federation battlecruiser, the Fleet Avenger Tier 6. So I actually purchased this ship in a previous video. So if you want to check that out, how to purchase a fleet ship, please go ahead and check that video. I'll include a link in the description. And for this video, I'd like to go into a little more detail and show the actual build, show my skills, specializations, traits, my boffs and doffs, and then show the ship in the tailor, so you can see the customization options. And then finally, I will just do the standard set of runs with a Argala Patrol and an ISA run to give this build a good test. So, to start out here with the equipment, so this ship does have a 5-3 weapons layout with 5 forward weapons and 3 in the rear. And since this is a battlecruiser, I would just wanted to go with a full forward-firing, maximum firepower type build. So that means I'm going to be putting dual beam banks up front for maximum damage. So that means for this ship, for this kind of play style, you will want to, stay facing towards the enemy, so you can keep them in your front arc. So you can see here I'm running dual anti-proton beam banks, Mark 14. In these cases they are epic. Crit D3, Crit H on some of them. I also have a couple with Crit D2, Crit H, and an accuracy. That was just luck of the draw that those happened to get epic. And in the rear, I am running 3 omnidirectional beam arrays, so they're all 360 degree. They can all fire forward even though they're in the rear. And of course the kinetic cutting beam, the ancient omnidirectional beam array, and then the crafted omnidirectional beam array. If you're wondering where to get these, the kinetic cutting beam you get from the Omega reputation, and the ancient omnidirectional beam array you get from the Solon A Dyson Sphere. I think it's the first episode in that series. Gives you this as a quest reward. So those are the weapons I'm running, and I am really loving the Iconian set, so I'm going to stick with it for this build. So I'm using 3 pieces: the deflector array, impulse engines, and shields. And for my warp core, I'm going to go with the Elite Fleet Plasma Integrated Warp Core, which is the Spire Warp Core that gives you the increased resistance to power drain on your weapons. So, and it also has the amp bonus. Pretty much seems to be the preferred warp core for highest damage output. And I also quite like this warp core. In my devices, I am running the Temporal Negotiator from the Delta Recruitment event, the Nimbus Distress Call, and then the Subspace Field Modulator. And so you can see here the console layout. Since this is the fleet ship, it does have 2 science consoles, whereas the Arbiter, which is the C-Store version of this ship, which I also do have, but that one only has 1 science console. So that's the advantage here, is you get that extra science console, which is good. As you can see, I'm loading plasma generating weapon signature nullifiers here for the plasma proc, plasma explosions, which are a very sizable portion of your DPS, especially if these are at Mark 14. And they also have the flow cap mod, so that helps with keeping my power up with my plasmonic leech, which you can actually see right here. I'm running the plasmonic leech. That's good for keeping all your power levels up. This is a very expensive console. If you're looking to get one, I believe they're going for about 60 million on the exchange at this point. But definitely worth it in almost every build on almost every ship. It's a very important item for keeping all of your power levels up. I am also running the console that comes with the Arbiter, the ablative hazard shielding console, which I've actually grown to like. I've tried it on also the Klingon Kurek Battlecruiser, and I'm kind of liking it. I've been keeping it on my ship. I mean, if I had something better like a conductive RCS console with EPS, that could go here, but this console has proven to be a pretty decent console, and I really don't have anything to put there that would be better. So it's a good survivability console. It has an activatable power to give you a temporary buffer on your shield, sort of a secondary shield, and also when that wears off, it gives you a large hull hit point and shield regeneration bonus. And to even make it even a bit more survivable, I'm using the regenerative integrity field from the Kobali Samsar cruiser event. So between these two, you have a nice shield heal, and then you have a nice hull heal. Makes this ship very, very tanky. I am also running the assimilated module for the 2-piece set bonus with the kinetic cutting beam. And then finally the 0-point energy conduit to increase my crit and a little bit more power to my subsystems. Yeah, I don't have the bioneural infusion circuits or the kinetic tachyokinetic converter, so these are the kind of secondary consoles, and they're not as good as those low-buy consoles, but they are still decent, and they're much cheaper to acquire. Now, the reason I am running my 2-piece Borg set in this build is some of my other builds I've been trying recently to get away from the Borg 2-piece and take advantage of some of the new Starship traits that came out, like the Greedy Emitters trait from the Nandi, and the what's the other trait? I'm forgetting the name of it here. Emergency Weapon Cycle. And taking advantage of those traits to try to keep my power levels up without having to depend on the 2-piece bonus from the Borg set. But in this case, since I'm running, a forward-firing build with dual beam banks, I like to have 3 omnidirectional beams in the rear anyway, and since I don't have very many science seats on this ship, I didn't really have a place to put science ability to trigger the Greedy Emitters. So in this case, I'm sticking with the old trusty Borg 2-piece. And then finally, in the tactical consoles, I'm just going with the vulnerability locators for the extra crit chance, and then they have the AP mod for increasing anti-proton damage, and I'm running with 4 of those. So that is the build. Since this is the fleet version of the ship, it doesn't come with the Starship trait. You can see here it just comes with the normal cruiser ship mastery package, so you get the 25% physical and kinetic damage resistant rating, you get the plus 15% crit severity, the plus 25% all energy and radiation damage resistance, and then the plus 10% hit points. Now for my skills, I am just running a pretty standard skill set here. It's very similar to all my other characters that you've seen in the other build videos. The standard energy weapon layout for tactical. For engineering, always making sure to max your EPS skill. And then since I'm running the plasmonic leech, I'm running the flow capacitor skill. If you don't have the plasmonic leech, probably not worth it to invest so heavily into this skill. Alright, and then for specializations on this character, I'm running, I believe it's 20 points into intelligence, yes. And I'm running with all the space skills in intelligence, and then in pilot, I don't have a whole lot in this character. This is actually my Delta Recruit character that I created, so I haven't had as much time nearly to farm on this character as some of the other ones, and I haven't even filled out the pilot tree much yet. But I do have enough to at least get the rock and roll trait. Alright, so for traits, I'm running accurate and elusive, pretty standard in all my builds, for the plus 10% accuracy and then the plus 10% defense. Pretty good, solid traits on almost any build. Warp Theorist for the extra EPS and the extra power levels. And running Beam Barrage, of course, excellent on every beam build. To unlock this trait, you need to get your beam crafting skill to rank 15. I'm also running Techie, just to help with the shield, or sorry, the hull heals, and plus the fact I don't have really anything better to put in there right now. Last Ditch Effort, just to help with the go down fighting. Anchor trait, which I do like. Since this is a forward-firing build and a cruiser, I do often stand in place to position my weapons, so this is a good stacking damage buff when you're standing still. And this is a trade that you have to get from reward packages. I bought it off the exchange. I believe it was only like 4-ish million when I bought it, maybe even less than that. It's not a very expensive trade compared to some of the other the very expensive trades out there, like Wing Commander or what was it, Superior Leader, or I can't remember the name of the other trade, but this one is very affordable. Point Blank Shot. This is from the recent featured episode, and it's also a very good trade that gives you just a flat-out damage bonus for being close to your enemy. So as long as you stay within 6 kilometers, you do get a damage bonus up to, and then it increases as you get closer to 2 kilometers. And then I'm running Astrophysicist. It does have a little bit of flow cap, which helps, but otherwise not a particularly great skill, or a trait, sorry, but it's all I've really got for space traits. Now for my starship traits, I am running All Hands on Deck that you get from the command cruisers. Just an amazing trait, good on every ship and every build. Just gives you flat out recharge time reductions on your captain powers and your science powers. Very, very nice. And it can occur every 5 seconds, so very good ability. I am also running Reciprocity, which is another great trait. I believe you get this from the Phantom Intel Escort. Another very good trait. Every time you are missed in combat, you get a minus 10% recharge time on intelligence and tactical powers. So this is very good for keeping your tactical powers going. If you're running a decently tanky build, then you'll have a good defense, and just if you're taking so much incoming fire, odds are that the enemy is going to miss you fairly often. So this is very good at keeping your recharge times down. I'm also running Emergency Weapon Cycle, which you get from the Tier 6 Battlecruisers, the C-Store versions of those ships, and great trait for the minus 25% weapon power cost. Keeps your weapon power nice and maxed out. Yeah, helps to keep it maxed out anyway during your firing cycle, so a good DPS boost there. And I am also running Supremacy on this character. This is actually my only character that I have a lockbox ship that I've ever bought on, and I bought the Azteca Vodwar cruiser, or battleship I guess it is, I'm not quite sure. But it does come with this trait, and this trait gives you, it's kind of like a mini Plasmonic Leech, where while you're running Beam Fire at Will, you get a significant power boost to all of your subsystems while your Fire at Will is active. For my reputation traits, I'm going with the pretty standard build here with Precision for the crit hit chance. Advanced targeting systems for the increased crit severity. The new Kara trait for auxiliary power configuration offensive, which gives you a nice solid bonus to your all damage. And this is a category 2 bonus, so it's calculated after all of your base damage increases are factored in. So it gives a nice bonus as long as you keep your auxiliary power decently high. And then finally the auxiliary power configuration defensive. I do like to run this just to increase the tankiness of the ship. I do like how that this is a good balanced ship with good, offensive firepower and good defense as well, so it can take a lot of incoming hits, and this helps in that regard. This is one of my favorite defensive traits. It does give you kinetic and energy damage resistance and hit points and shield capacity that scale with your auxiliary power. So I like those a lot. As I always like to mention, if you don't want to run a defensive trait at all, you just want to go pure offense, always go with the enhanced armor penetration trait right here. It's a decent trait if you just want to go full out offense. And for my active reputation, I'm just running the 4 active reputation space traits that you can get. Now, let's take a look at the bridge officers here. So, one thing that's really great about all of the factions with their Tier 6 battlecruisers is that they come with a Lieutenant Commander Universal slot. So you can see here, you can have a Lieutenant Commander Universal along with a Lieutenant Commander Tactical / Intel, and then an Ensign Tactical. So this is pretty great. You can have a cruiser, a Federation cruiser with 7 tactical powers. That's really good for a Federation cruiser. I'm not sure if any other Federation cruiser can have that many. So it's even especially good, so now you can slot 3 tactical officers, and as you can see, I'm actually running 3 Romulans. Let me go here, I can show you one of them here. Here's one of my Romulans, and they all have the Superior Romulan Operative trait. That gives you the 2% crit chance and the 5% crit severity. So just by slotting those 3 officers, and just having 3 tactical slots, that's giving me 6% crit and 15% crit severity, which is very nice. I really like how the bridge officer layout is for this ship. So you can see in here I'm running 2 copies of Tactical Team. That probably isn't totally needed. 1 might be enough, but I do like to run 2 just to make sure I get as much uptime as possible. I'm also running attack pattern Beta and Omega version, the rank 1, and then I'm also running Beamfire at Will 1 and 2, along with, in my intelligence seat here, I want to make sure I take advantage of override subsystem safeties, which is an amazing ability. That when you pop this, it not only increases your current power level, but actually increases your max power level, which is huge for your weapon damage. So it gives you the rank 3 of the skill here, you can see gives you 50 max to your all of your power levels. It does die down slowly over the duration of the power, but it is an amazing ability for just increasing your DPS, and it gives you a nice burst of DPS as well. When you pop this, your base damages go up by 100% on your weapons due to the 50% increase in your max power level. So yeah, just an all-around great power. So definitely take advantage of that intel seating there. It does a cruiser, so of course the commander is an engineer, which is pretty nice. I am running emergency power to shields and emergency power to weapons 3, and I'm also running engineering team 2, and this is a kind of a flex power here, but I mean, if you have like a Marion Francis, you could run directed energy modulation here. yeah. Since I do not have that doff, I'm running Oxtasif 3, which is a really great ability, very short recharge on this ability, so it's great just for keeping your hull healed, and it gives you that, it also gives you a nice damage resistance as well. So for 10 seconds it gives you that damage resistance, and it's only a 15 per second recharge, so really great ability for just making your ship more survivable. So that's what I'm running in my engineer. And last of all, it just has a lieutenant science. That's it. And of course, I'll run my science team and hazard emitters, pretty much my two standard science powers I like to run for everything, for removing debuffs and for a good hull heal, and also for removing plasma fires. And just so you know, I'm running in my engineer here, I'm running the Nausicaan diplomacy boff. I might do a video sometime on how you can actually get these boffs, but if you get up your diplomacy, skill, doing the doff missions, then you can eventually, once you get up to rank 5, you can eventually get a embassy, or no, sorry, a diplomacy boff of your choice. So for Federation side, this is actually quite good because it's the only way really you can get a Nausicaan engineer, and that means you can take advantage of the Nausicaaan's pirate ability. And then for the science, you can always get the hierarchy boff from the Delta if you follow through the Delta quadrant missions. One of those episodes gives a hierarchy officer, and he also has the pirate trait. So this way, at least you can build a Federation side character that has, lots of bonuses, from both Romulans using Embassy and from Klingons, because you can get the Nausicaan, and then you can get the hierarchy buff. So those are the buffs. I will quickly show you my doffs as well. I am running Agent Narul, who gives you a kind of a slight self-heal to your hull when you are using attack pattern beta. I'm also using a con officer for the reduction in recharge time for tactical team, and then the small buff it gives the tactical team. And then I am running a Drake build, which means I'm running 3 damage control engineers. And the idea of this build is to take advantage of my emergency power to shields and emergency power to weapons by using these 3 control engineers. Each one of these has a 30% chance to reduce the recharge time on both of these powers. So every time you activate one of these, you have a chance of a 30% times 3 chance of reducing the recharge time, and that means that there is a pretty high chance, it's not 100%, but there's a very high chance that you can keep both of these emergency power abilities up 100% of the time by taking advantage of these resets, or reductions in recharge time. Alright, so that is the build. Let's head down and take a look at the ship and the tailor. And I will show you the different options. It does allow you to combine since this is the fleet version of the ship, you do get the fleet materials. Actually, I still have my Iconian set on. Let's turn off the Iconian visuals here, just so you can see what the actual base ship looks like. There we go. So here it is. This is the Fleet Avenger, and this is actually the Fleet 1 material. And I can show some of the other materials here. Here's the actual Avenger material, Fleet 2. It has all the standard Type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and also comes with the Type 7 material, which is a pretty cool material. I like this one. Comes with you can also get the upgrade material and then the veteran material for veteran players. So those are all the materials. I do like the Fleet 1 material because it has the kind of metallic sheen to it. Looks quite good on this ship. For each of the ship sections here, you actually do have quite a few styles you can pick from. For the hull, you can choose between the Avenger hull or the Arbiter. Show the Arbiter here. The Arbiter does kind of have a thinner hull, which is kind of neat, although it does have this odd neck that sticks out here from the deflector array, kind of strange. For the nacelles, you can also pick between the Arbiter, the Avenger, and then there's also an Avenger without the fins. Yeah, for the mission pod, you can pick between the Arbiter and Avenger. It just has a small change here on the top. Now the pylons, you have a lot of nice choices here. You have the Fleet version, which gives you the flat pylons that come out 90 degrees from the hull. Or you can go with the Arbiter ones, which kind of have a forward swept kind of look, and then the Avenger ones, which are a little bit higher up and a little bit thicker. For the saucer, you can pick between the Avenger or the Arbiter. The Arbiter does have a kind of a strange pear shape, I guess. Looks almost like a pear coming forward here. Not a huge fan of the Arbiter saucer. It is thin, so it has a nice sleek look to it, but yeah, just kind of a really odd pear shape. Alright, so there it is. There are the customization options. I am going to cancel out of here. And I do like the Iconian visuals, so I am going to turn those back on. Alright, so there it is. Let's head up to the ship here. Take a look at the stats real quick, and then I will head out and see how this thing performs. Alright, so here it was what it looks like with the Iconian visuals. I do really like the Iconian deflector. It has a cool cone, energy cone coming out of the front of it. And of course it has all the other Iconian kind of reddish accents all over the ship. And then it also turns your nacelles kind of a yellowish color, yellowish orange. Yeah, and one thing I always like about the Avenger is it has these cool heavy weapon pods, which I think fit perfectly with the dual beam banks. When you're firing the dual beam banks, they do come right out of that area. It looks pretty great. Alright, so let's take a look at the stats here. Crew complement of 500, which I found kind of odd because the Klingon Kurak, the Klingon version of this ship, has a crew of 2,000, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure why that has such a higher crew. For my EPS rate, I'm getting 13.8 per second. I would say slightly above average, but though not, really great. Like if you were running an adaptive RCS console on there, that would be buffing that quite a bit more. Or conductive RCS, sorry. You can see my resistances here, which are pretty good, even though, yeah, even with anchored stacked up, the resistances of the ship are quite good actually. When you have your anchored stacked, it does reduce them. So for my standing still defense, I'm getting 11.3. Let's see what it is when I'm moving here. 42.5 when I'm moving, so at least moving at all, it's 41%. If I'm moving full throttle, it goes up even more than that. But that's good for, you know, for the reciprocity trait. So it means enemies are gonna miss you quite often, and you're gonna be getting that triggered quite a bit. It's for reducing your tactical cooldowns. My shields come in at just under 10,000, and the hull is at 84,000. So yeah, pretty strong hull, and considering I'm not a straight-out tank build, so 84,000 is a nice hull, and a good amount of shield as well. Since this is the fleet version, you do have, you know, that 10% base hull and shield capacity that's higher than like the C-Store version of the ship. So it is fairly tanky. I really do like this ship, that it can actually take some hits as well as dish out the damage. For my, let's see, accuracy 27%, crit chance is 22%, which is pretty good for a Fed character. It's of course not as good as my Romulan, but still pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And 105% crit severity. Alright, so those are the stats. Let's head over to the Delta Quadrant and do an Argala. So I have to say, I have been, you know, just overall, all of these Tier 6 battlecruisers, I have been pretty happy with them. They've all performed well. Even the Mogai, which is more of like a heavy destroyer type ship, not really a battlecruiser, but I've been enjoying that ship as well. The Fleet Mogai that I did a review of has done very well, and then the Klingon Kurak is also a very good ship. I guess it's just kind of my preference of ships here that I like, since I do pickup groups a lot. You can't really depend on having a tank in the group or having an organized group where you could do, you know, it makes going with things like a glass cannon build a lot more risky. So I always like these ships, these battlecruisers, that they can, you know, have good survivability along with the dishing out the damage. Alright, let's head in. Just as my kind of style of ship, so I can definitely recommend these ships if that's your playstyle, if you like having both the survivability and, you know, still having good offensive firepower. So that's pretty much what these ships are built for. I mean, I do like escorts. They are fun to fly, but they're just so squishy, and especially in pickup groups. Especially in pickup groups when you can't, you know, depend on having either a support ship or a tank, or just, you know, being organized enough to manage who's going to be getting aggro where. You know, in pugs, a lot of times you're going to be doing the tanking, so you want to be able to take, you know, survive the hits. And you can see as soon as I pop the subsystem safeties there, the hits start hitting really hard. These dual beam banks get some really nice crits. That's the other thing I like about the dual beam banks over the arrays, is just you get to see those nice big numbers, which is always fun. There's a nice 30k. So yeah, I mean, as you can see, this ship is no slouch on the damage output. And it has a, oh yeah, I didn't think I looked at the turn rate, did I? No, I'm getting 20 degrees right now, but there you go. 14.9 is usually what my turn rate is without any buffs going. I believe the base turn rate is 9. Yeah, I believe it's a base 9 turn rate. So, while, you know, not the most maneuverable ship, not as maneuverable as like a heavy destroyer like the Mogai is, it does at least give you enough maneuverability to, you know, to get your forward beam banks, you know, firing on target. They do have a 90-degree arc, which is not too terrible. It's not, you know, a super narrow arc like dual heavy cannons, where I think it's 45. So its turn rate is generally enough. You know, it's not a maneuverable ship, but it is enough to at least keep your target in that frontal arc. All right, and let's queue up for a infected space. Infected the conduit advanced. So yeah, but I have been definitely happy with all 3 of these ships. Definitely, they come with a good trait, and the ships themselves are good. You know, sometimes when you buy a C-Store ship, it might just be for a console or just for the trait. But I've been happy with these ships. You know, and all 3 of my alts in both factions, or all 3 factions, I am still flying these ships. I'm happy with the ships and the traits they come with, so yeah, so if you are looking for a good ship package to get, I definitely recommend getting the Tier 6 Battlecruiser pack. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. Tier 6 cross-faction Battlecruiser bundle. Comes with all 3, and you get you know, if you own all 3 and you want to get the fleet versions of the ships, you do get that discount, so it only takes the 1 fleet module, which is nice. And it comes, of course, the C-Store version comes with a console and the trait, ship trait, so. Alright, let's see how this goes. I am recording my damage with Combat Log Reader, so I will take a quick look at that when this queue is over. Oh cool, a Jem'Hadar carrier. Gotta love them. One of the coolest looking ships in the game, that's for sure. So far, so good. We seem to kill those decently fast, so I'm a little bit optimistic here that this is a good team. Someone did blow that first. Let's see if I can get around to the front here. Cooldowns. Not too bad. And someone was over here, nicely bundling up all of the spheres. I do recommend attacking the transformer from this side, just because it does give you the flanking bonus, even though it doesn't really appear like it has a front or rear. It does actually count as a flanking bonus if you hit it from this side of the transformer. I'll show you on the next one. just get one sphere over there. So we don't get too close to the gate.
We will add your technological and biological distinctiveness to our own.
So, yeah, I do like to get over to this side, pop my subsystem safeties, let's get debuffed, take a lot of damage here. So you can see all these flanking bonuses coming up here, so if you're hitting it from this side, you do get the flanking bonus. Ooh, there we go, get some nice 24Ks. Let's get over here and get on these spheres. Pad our DPS nicely with a nice group of spheres here, and fare that well. Okay, this is going to be bad. I don't like tanking both the gate and the cube. Let's get right up on the gate here. And let's put tactical fleet on this. Use my shield. Do a shield bubble here. I'm out of cooldowns and I'm still taking a lot of damage. My blade of shield is almost back. Alright, let's close down a little bit. I'll get anchored and point blank shot going here. This is going to be somewhere. Let's use the regenerative console here. Engine capacitor doesn't do much, but I'll throw it in there. Alright, subsystem safeties is up. Attack parent alpha. There we go, nice 40k crit, 37, 36, 42. Oh crap. Here. Let's use that. Let's get out of here so I don't die to the explosion. And there we go. Definitely a very good team here. I'm very interested to see how the logs turn out. Oops. Did want to give this team a GG, because that was a good team. It's always fun to get into a good pug. Uh-oh, getting some SNR error just popped up. That's not good. Oh, darn it. Hey guys, welcome back. My apologies for that jump cut. I got disconnected from the server. So, and I also found out that it did not seem to record or somehow lost my combat log as well. So I'm not able to take a look in there, but based on that group, I would estimate this to be, in the upper 30k, potentially 40 plus k DPS range. Unfortunately, I can't give you a damage breakdown like I usually like to do. but I would estimate it to be in that range. It performs right up there with the previous videos that I've been doing, which were all in about that range, upper 30s to low 40k DPS, and that definitely was a very good run, which I always enjoy having with the pickup group. So there it is. So I guess, my final thoughts. The Tier 6 Battlecruisers, all three of them are very good. The Fleet upgrade, I think, is a decent upgrade as well. With the extra science console slot, helps out quite a bit. They really have a lot of great strengths. The bridge officer seating in particular I'm impressed with. I love the three, the abundance of bridge officer tactical seating and the 3 tactical seats where you can take advantage of 3 Romulans with SRO. Really just a phenomenal bridge layout. I love that it has an intel seat for the override subsystem safeties to pump up that damage. The ship is tanky, reasonably maneuverable, and puts out really good DPS. I mean, it's just a solid all-around ship. Yeah, they even come with a good 4 tactical consoles, which is, good for a cruiser. I don't think any cruisers that I know of, I don't think have the 5 tactical. So that's, 4 is as good as you're going to get on a cruiser. So yeah, just a very solid ship. Lots of great upsides. If your playstyle is that you like to have a good mix of tankiness and offense, this is the ship for you. The look of it is good. I like the look of all 3 of the Tier 6 Battlecruiser ships. They all have good options for customizing. There's not much to dislike about these ships. If I had to pick out one disadvantage, the only one thing I can think of is just the 2 science consoles. If one of these engineering consoles maybe had been swapped over to science, probably would have been perfect. Just because those plasma explosions are, good DPS, so the more science consoles you have, the better. But that's really the only downside I can think of. Otherwise, these are very solid ships that could be, used in any queue and very good for pickup groups. So what else can I say? I'm just very impressed with with all of the Tier 6 Battlecruisers. So that is it, folks. That's it for this is the Fleet Avenger. So that is my review, and I hope you enjoyed it. I will be coming back with more ship builds in the future. I think next I will be going for my Vesta. Bit of an older ship, but I always enjoyed the Vesta for the, for an exotic damage build with my science officer. So that's probably next, and until then, take care. Bye for now.